All right, everyone, welcome back to Breslov Efrat. Okay, so today is Erev Shabbos Kodesh Parshas Tzav, and it's also it's Erev Pesach, right? Today we're going to be burning our chametz, right? We did the bedika last night. I hope everyone did that successfully, and we were mavar the chametz, the chimetz shebelev, and the chimetz of the mayach. That was the main idea. Of course, we have to do the actual bedika, right? Okay. And then we know that on Erev Pesach we have a special minute to learn a special mimer from the Arizal, the holy Arizal, and it was a mimer that was taught by Rav Shimshon Me'Ostropolia. He was a great tzaddik, mekubal, Hashem yimkam dama, mamash. It was what an awesome tzaddik, and unbelievable, and it's a big schus to learn this mimer, as we're going to see now, on Erev Pesach. What?
It says, this is not going to make any sense, but
yeah,
what you wrote, you think?
Yeah. No, it's not. It doesn't make sense. What we're going to learn now, the Arizal wrote something hundreds of years ago, and no one understood it. No one understood what he wrote, and no one can decipher it. It was not decipherable. It didn't make sense. We're going to see now. We're going to go through it, and you'll understand why. Okay, here we go. Okay, so he says now, Shalom l'Rabbeinu Eretz goydei geder v'oimdim b'peretz. Yatzilim Hashem mikilyon v'cheretz kulam kedoshim artzeim v'oretz. Kol echad l'pum churfei makshir metoret. So the rabbis of Eretz Yisrael, the great rabbis of Eretz Yisrael, sent a letter. They sent a request to Rav Shimshon Me'Ostropolia to decipher for them, to explain to them what this meant. You understand? So now he's sending them back a letter. Okay, he's sending them back a letter with the explanation. Okay, and he gives them a beautiful. What would you say? He addresses them in a very beautiful way. Okay? Okay. Betachlis hakitzur oidois inyan masha kosav Arizal bekuntru sheloya nikra pelois rabbis. Okay, so the Arizal wrote something called pelois rabbis. Many wonders. Right? Well, how would you translate that? Sasha, right? Pelois rabbis, multiple wonders. Yeah, what? Great wonders, multiple wonders. Okay, either however you like. Bishara nikra yitzias mitzrayim perik gimel daf mem beis v'zul l'shoinei. So now, if you want to look this up, okay, you can look this up in the Kisvei Arizal, and he tells you where you can find it. It's Bishara nikra yitzias mitzrayim. Okay, in the section called Exit of Egypt. And it's in Perek Gimel, the 3rd chapter, and it's on page 42, and this is what he says. Okay, so now the words we're going to read now are the words of the Arizal, okay? And that's why we said that the words didn't make sense, okay? So here we go.
100 years after, you lived 100 years after Arizal.
Yeah. Hine kvar haydaticha sheparai nilka b'mitzrayim be'esem makris elu. Okay, so we all know that Paro got the 10 different pots inside him when he was in Mitzrayim, right? He got the 10 makis. Everyone knows that, right? We're going to say that the Seder, the kids all know that. They have their song. It's beautiful, right? The 10 makis. But he says now, how did that happen? Ayidei shloisha alofim masayim ushmoinim malachei chavola hamemunim hamesavim v'shloisha rikiyim shel tumah. It came about through 3,280 angels. 3,280 angels. Punishing angels, right? Malachei Chavola, right? Punishing angels. And they surround the 3 firmaments of impurity. What does that mean? Right? Ha'echad Nikra, his first one of these malachim, the heads, is called Shin Reish Ayin. Okay, we don't say it. Basheni Nikra Taf Mem Vav Ches. Okay, that's his name. Bashlishi Nikra Beis Yud Shin Hey Aleph. So the Arizal's giving us information about what's going on in Shemayim. There are different angels, and there are different groups of angels, and there are different places in Shemayim, and so on. So he's giving us now the names of the Malachim that are in charge of these different legions of the Malachim, okay? V'aleim hanikra asar hanikra, and there's one head officer, right? The Sar, the master, the Sar, that's upon them, and his name is Dalid Lamed Pei Kuf Tes, okay? Kulam Hasara Nikra Tuf Kuf Aleph. Now there's one other master, there's one CEO of all of them, and he's Tuf Kuf Aleph. So far makes sense? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does? Okay. Now he says, this part makes the most sense. Bereshis, in the beginning, Bereshis, V'hinei choser min hashlishi asara. And we're missing from 3, 10. Now, I'm not a mathematician, but from the third, from the 3, from 3, I'm missing 10. From the third, I'm missing 10. Now, how are you going to be missing 10 from 3? I don't know. Right? Okay, let's see. V'choser min haravi, and from 4, shisha. And from 4, I'm missing 6. That also doesn't mathematically make too much sense, right? V'choser min hatishi shisha. Oh, this one makes sense, right? From the 9, I can take away 6, right? That I can do. Kakosa b'Torah, as it's written in the Torah. What's written in the Torah? As it's written in the Torah.
9 from 6.
Right.
6 from 9.
Right. Okay. V'hidei ma'aseh matzinu sheloku ha'mitzrim v'mitzrayim 10 makos v'alayam loku 5 makos. So there's a school of thought, we're going to read this in the Haggadah, right? That the Mitzrayim were punished with 10 makos, and on the Yam Suf, when they came to Kriyas Yam Suf, they got another 50 punishments. In the Yam Suf, while they were drowning, while they were in the Yam Suf, they got another 50 punishments. Mitzad Hashem, there's some kind of an angel, and his name is Shin Pei Vav. He caused these 50, Sheboy Ochos David Ben Yishai. And that's connected to David Ben Yishai. Now, where did David come in here? Right? Where does David come in here? Right? These are the questions that the great mekubalim of Eretz Yisrael, of Tzfas, they didn't understand what the Arizal wrote. They didn't understand it. This is what they were trying to understand. So they sent to the Rabbi Shimshon Me'Ostropolia in Europe, they sent him the question, please, maybe you can explain it to us. We don't understand it. Got it? You understand? Right? V'shem Omar Haku V'hikom. And the name said to smite them, and they did. Okay, whatever that means, right? Mitzad Hashem Tav Kuf Lamed. From the name of Tav Kuf Lamed. Okay, whatever these names, numbers, whatever they are. Loko Mitzrayim v'Mitzrayim Abor Makos. So there's another school of thought that the Mitzrayim actually had 40 plagues in Mitzrayim. In other words, there were 10, but the 10 had within the 10 there were 40, right? There were byproducts, 40 byproducts of the 10 plagues. You understand, right? Okay. Balayam loku masayim makos, and on the Yam Suf they had the 200. They got 200 makos. And so there were again. The first one said there were 50 at the Yam Suf. He's saying, no, that was saying there's another school of thought that says, no, they had 200 problems in the Yam Suf. Hashem Amar Haku V'hikom Mitzad Hashem Shin Tzaddik Hey Loko Amitzim Mitzrayim Chamishim Makos. Oh, they had 50 plagues in Mitzrayim. Balayam Loko Masayim V'Chamishim Makos. They got 250. Okay, so all of this is just a bunch of words, and each statement is okay by itself. But how do you put it all together? That's the question, right? Obviously, the Arizal wrote something. There was very deep, founded secrets inside the wording, and these are all codes, right? These are all codes, and no one understood them. Vashem Amar v'hika ubemash HaKadosh Baruch Hu maka, and why the HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought the plague. By Merapa Hagolas, it caused the healing and it caused us for the Golas. Ma poshu, ma chotu, ma mol, asher molu aveseinu. What did we do? What did we sin? What happened? Liyos bekura barzel azeh ad shenigolu b'shemas elu. Until we got out. What brought us in to the kura barzel, that smelting pot? The melting pot, a kura barzel. You know, when you want to melt different golds, right? If you want to make them liquid, right? So silver melts at one temperature. Gold at another temperature. Each metal will liquefy at a different temperature. Steel, Kor HaBarzel, needs the highest temperature, right? It needs the highest temperature if you want to liquefy steel. Iron, steel. Well, iron and steel is the same. What's the difference? Okay, iron even more. Okay, fine. Okay, straight. But steel comes from iron. Okay, whatever. We understand.
Yeah.
So why do we have to be in this Kor HaBarzel? Why do we have? Why we put into such a difficult situation? Ad kan loshan Arizal. These are the words of the Arizal. So this is it. Now that's it. This is what they didn't understand. This is the letter they sent to Rav Shimshon. They sent him this letter. And now he's answering them the thing. Now we're going to go through and we're going to decipher each one of the statements the Arizal made in the last paragraph. Okay? Got it? Okay, here we go. He's speaking to the great rabbis now. Okay? Kidoshei Yisrael, you're the holy ones of Israel. These words are very, very wondrous. They're sealed, they're locked, they're just undecipherable. They're undecipherable. Ukvar sha'olni Gedoyle Yisrael levoy lehem divrei Arizal. But you asked me to answer, and you're great rabbis, and you asked me to try to give you an answer for these. I didn't say it all right. I'm going to tell you over what I was revealed to me in my sleep. Remember you told me he had a dream the other night, right? He had a dream the other night, and this dream told him what this was. You understand it? Is that amazing? Unbelievable. And now I will reveal it to you. And again, he's addressing them in such high regard, right? Such high regard. And these were great Torah scholars. These were great Torah. He was a great Torah scholar, obviously, also, because he was able to answer this, right? But you see the respect that the rabbis have for one another. It's beautiful, right? Okay, now we're answering, now this is his answer, okay? We're reading now the rabbi's answer. Okay, Sheparoi Nilka b'Mitzrayim Esa Makos Elu b'Mitzrayim Aidei Shleisha Alofim Masayim U'Shmeini Malchei Chavola Kavanosei Kach. This is the intent behind when he made the statement that there were 3,280 smiting angels, punishing angels. Okay, Ki Amru Balei Kabola Masis Sheyesh Shleisha Alofim Masayim U'Shmeini Malchei Chavola. That in the Kabbalah it's written, and it's known, in the Kabbalah it's known that there are 3,280 angels that take care of the punishments for Hashem. He has 3,280 agents. And these 3,280 malachim are in charge of Gehenna, and they take care of punishing the neshamas that didn't do tshuva in this world. Right? So it's very important that we do tshuva, because if you don't do tshuva, you have 3,280 smiting angels, angry angels, that want blood. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, Latara Mavainai Seham. But what are they doing, these angels? They're not doing it, they don't want blood. They want to purify the person from the sin. That's what we keep learning all the time. It's so important that we do as Baidus, so important we talk to Hashem, so important that we fix things, because we don't want to go up to after 120 years and go to these 3,280 malachim, and they say, hey, you could have fixed things down here, now you got to deal with us. Right? Right? Resha. Egroif is like a fist, right? What's an egroif? Fist, right? The fist. Okay. Ki egroif remez shleisha alofim masayim shmoinim malachei chavola hamakim es harosha. Egroif has in it the hint of 3,280. Right? He explains here now. Al yodam nilka gam parei harosha b'mitzrayim. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu used those same 3,280 angels from Gehenna. He sent them to work on now Parai. Right? So in other words, they went from up high. What's the matter, Sasha? They went from up high. Hashem sent those 3,280 angels, punishing angels, and he sent them down to the world in order to punish Parai. Isn't that interesting? He didn't use other angels. He took the same ones. He just repurposed them, right? Okay. Now, so now, again, when you see the word egroif, what's the matter? What's the matter? Okay. So if you take the word egroif, right? Mm-hmm. So you have in there, right? We're trying to get 3,280, right? So if you take the gimel is 3, the reish is 200, and the pay is 80. And there you have your 3,280. Okay? You have the aleph in there, but again, when you're doing something like anytime you're doing any kind of Gematria, anything like that, 1 plus or 1 less always works. So you don't even need the aleph, right? All right, here we go. Now, so then we have the makkos. Now we're going to go on. Dam, the first makkah was blood. The tzefardea was the frogs. Kinim were the lice, right? Orev were the wild animals. Dever were the boils, right? Shchin, right? We had the shchin, and then we had the borod. We had the hails that came down, right? The arbe were the locusts. They call them locusts. What do they call them? Locusts? Locusts, right? Choshech. We had the 2 levels of darkness we learned about. And then, of course, makkos b'chayvus. Okay? So now, in the Torah, now this is very important to understand. And he's going to explain it, but I just want to explain it to you outside. You know, the Torah is written very, very carefully, and every letter is very calculated in the Torah. Every nuance in the Torah is very, very important, right? We were learning yesterday, when we even say Kriya Shema, we were learning the idea that there are different kavim, there are different lines that are throughout Kriya Shema, and you're supposed to make your breaks in between each one of those lines. That's everything is so very, very careful, okay? So we're going to see now, there's a difference of the way they write. The Torah writes the makkos out to the way the makkos are written out other places, or even in the Haggadah, right? And let's see how it's written in the Torah. Elu esa makkos kashe kesafti ois ba'ois. These are the 10 makkos as I wrote letter by letter for you, right? Oilem lecheshben shleishes alofim asayim ashmoinim malachei chavola hamemunim l'tayras ershoim hu poshet nifla ayin loy rosa. Okay, so now you take a look at the thing I did. He did the math for us over there. You see that over there? So if you do the dam, the tzefardea, he gives you the numerical values, and it comes to 3,280.
That's crazy.
That's amazing. It's amazing. Now, but watch what he says now. It works out. This cheshbon works out if the kinim, the makkah of kinim, is missing the vav. In the Torah, when the Torah writes kinim, it's missing the vav.
Oh wow!
What? Yud. Oh, chasa yud. Excuse me, the yud. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Chasa the yud. Orev is chasa the vav. I looked ahead. That's why. Orev. The word makkah of orev was missing the vav. Excuse. Thank you. Chayshech is chasa the vav as well. V'zeh ma shekosav Arizal choser min hashlishis asara. Oh, wait a second. He said from the third, we were missing 10. Oh, so we said, but how can you be missing 10 from 3? Right? Oh, it's very nice. The third makkah. The third makkah, which is kinim. Kinim doesn't have in there the yud. So the third makkah doesn't have the yud, so the third one is missing the 10. Okay?
I'm sorry, but this is like mind-blowing.
Yeah.
You know, that the plagues were the 3,280
angels, smiting angels.
Smiting angels.
Yeah.
They were included in all the plagues. It's like...
Yeah, and through them...
The way that we know, I know you just did this, that they were 3,280 angels is from...
Egrov.
Is from Egrov, which equals...
And now he said, no, he's giving me another proof now. From the Makos themselves, they add up to 3,280.
Right.
The way it's spelled in the Torah.
In the Torah.
And the way that's spelled in the Torah, right?
Exactly.
Wow.
Perusha mi Makah shlishi shu kinim choser yud v'choser min ha'areviyas shisha. And we're missing from the fourth one 6. Oh, so we said, how can you be missing 6 from 4? 4 from 4, how can you be missing 6?
Plague.
From the fourth plague, you're missing 6, you're missing the vav. Perish, mimaki reviyas shu orayv choser vav. So it's written in the Torah, ayin reish vei, without the vav. Okay, v'choser min hatisha shisha, and you're missing from the ninth one. The ninth one of Arba, Choshech. You're missing Choshech can be written with a Ches, Shin, Reis. You can have a Vav in there also. But the Torah doesn't put the Vav in there. Right? Min hatishes hi mimakes Choshech Choshech gam kein Vav. Ma shekosav hakosav b'Torah rotza loyma shekein ksuvim b'Torah choser keniske le'el. As it's written in the Torah. Again, don't look it up in some chumashim that they want to make it grammatically correct, so they put the letters back in there. Right? How can you have choshech without the vav? That's wrong, right? Right? How can you have kinim without the yod? You can't do that.
It's always Greek sif.
I understand, but
they didn't know what they were doing.
No, but he's going to say now. Kakosa b'Torah parshas va'era, where the makas are listed in the Torah, parshas va'era. Right, kinim chaser yud. If you look it up in your chumash, you'll see the kinim is missing the yud. Orev is chaser the vav. Choshech is chaser the vav. Now again, when you're just reading the chumash, it's no problem. You put the dots, everything's there. You can read it. It's no problem. You don't realize it. You can just go. Do you see what's hidden inside the words and why a letter is missing? There's an extra letter. It's mind-boggling. You see the secrets in the Torah. Everything is so critical. Everything is so precise. Don't look in your siddur, because if you're saying you can learn this, you look up in your siddur. If you look up in your Haggadah. The Baal Haggadah, they wrote it with they wanted it easier to read, so they put the letters in there. But he says, if you want to check my math, if you want to check it, go look in Parshas Va'era, go look in the Chumash, don't go looking in your Haggadah, okay? All right, got it? Okay. And then the calculation works out just right. Those 3,280 angels that are punishing the Rishayim, that Hashem sent down to punish also Parai, like we said, right? Those were the same 3,280 angels that are up on high in Gehenna punishing the Rishayim that didn't do tshuva in this world, right? So Hashem took those same angels, He took them out of there, He sent them down here to do a mission down here.
Do we know about these angels? Like, was it all hands on deck for this punishment? Was it like Hashem? Okay, all punishing angels, everyone, all 3,280 of you, you're in on this. Like, is that what there is up there? There's 30.
Yeah, they were all in on this. That's what we're learning.
There are 10,000 punishing angels.
No, there are 3,280.
Till today, even.
That's our tradition.
They were all in on this punishment.
They were all in on this, yeah.
Maybe not today.
And they beat us up when we don't do
The
tshuva.
angel, I don't know if the angels died, and the angels, I mean, I guess that's the number.
Listen, yes, if you read the Midrashim on the Makkas, you see what was going on. It was fascinating.
A lot was happening at once.
It's fascinating. With the wild animals, they were throwing the Mitzrayim around. And it's wild. I mean, just...
Right, so these angels were involved in that
Yeah.
process.
It was a circus. They were making a circus out of Mitzrayim. Yeah, it was great. It was great. Yeah, the angels did it. They had a good time. Okay. Vehem nishu es ha-Mitzrayim v'hiku es paroi v'es ha-Mitzrayim v'Mitzrayim be'elu shleisha rekiyim shel tumah. In the three different firmaments of impurity. The Arizal mentioned that. There are three firmaments of impurities. And now, what does that mean? Umashe kosav she'elu ha-shleisha alofa masayim mishmayne malachei chavola mesavim shleisha rekiyim shel echad nikra shin reish ayin. And we said there are three different firmaments, right? And there are different angels in charge of those three different firmaments, right? Nikra shin reish ayin. Ve'echad nikra taf mem vav chaf sofit. Okay, ve'echad nikra beis shin yud hey aleph. Gam bazeh yesh lanu soy gadol v'nifle noire shetiken emagid b'mashe kosav elu eser makois shehevi. Okay, we're going to read those words in the Haggadah, right? There's a minute that on Shabbos Haggadah, this Shabbos, right? I did it also last week, also because some say last week was Shabbos Haggadah. Okay, so you read in the afternoon, you read the Haggadah from. There's a section in Haggadah that you read most of the Magid part of the Haggadah, right? And when you're reading, you're going to come up to these words here. Elu esem makoi shehevi. Very special letter, very special words. Eser heim oisais shin reish ayin. Eser. Shin reish ayin. It's in the eser, okay? Makois, the word makos, right, is the same letters as the malach taf mem vav chaf sofit, right? Shehevi. Oisais beis yud shin hey aleph. Nimras bahem elu arakiyim shel tumah. Those are the three firmaments that these 3,280 angels are in. These three firmaments of impurity, whatever that means. That must be different parts of Gehenna. I'm not exactly sure, but again, that's what it means. Sometimes this is what the Arizal wrote: 3,280 and three firmaments of impurity, and he gave us the names of the angels that are in charge of these three different firmaments. And the angels that are in charge work out from the words that we read in the Haggadah. Elu eser makoi shehevi. Eser makoi shehevi. Okay?
I'm not sure if this is 3280?
What?
The Elu eser makoi shehevi.
Yeah. Shebehem shleisha masayim shmayim malachei chavola. Yeah.
3280.
Also 32.
Yeah.
Yeah, and these three angels are in charge of about 1,000 angels each.
Must be, yeah. Yeah, must be. Shehilku vehiku es mitzrayim the minyan makos shehevi. In minyan of makos, the number of makos that they brought. Minyan yud makos elu v'zeh pele gadol. This is truly a wonder. Yeah. Okay. Amashe kosav aleim asara nikra talid lamed pei kuf tes. So there was one malach that now is on top of all of it. Okay. Kavanasei hu sheshem zeh shorsha yoytze memilas hamitzriyim. Wow. In the word hamitzriyim, you'll find his name. Ba'oises hakoidmois loises hamitzriyim. Right. So sometimes you could do a calculation where you take the letter and you bring the letter before it. Sometimes you could do after it, right? And you could do the whole calculation that way. So if you take the word mitzriyim, right? Mitzriyim. Dalit is koidim lahei, right? The dalit is before the hay. The lamed is koidim lamem, right? Lamed is in the order of the letters, right? You have lamed goes and then comes mem. Pei is koidim tzaddik, right? Pei is 80, right? Tzaddik is 90, right? Okay. Kuf is koidim lareish, right? The kuf goes before 100, goes before the 200, correct? Tes koidim liyud, and of course the order that tes 9 is the one before 10, which is yud. V'amem ha'achroina shel Mitzrayim heima mem hariboy, but Mitzrayim that's the mem of riboy. It's only making it plural. So we don't have to count that. The einay min ha'shorish, that's not from the shorish of the word, right? You have the shorish, and then you have the what do you call it? The conjugation. What do you call it? How do you make it plural? How do you make something plural? How do you say that?
All of us were very weak in grammar.
Well, we can get what?
Eli is not here.
Pluralize. Pluralize.
Okay, pluralize. Pluralize. There we go. Pluralize. There we go. B'Ramaz lazeh magid b'amrei eser makay shehevi HaKadosh Baruch Hu al ha-Mitzrayim. So he wrote that the 10 makkos that the Hashem brought on the Mitzrayim, kalei ma'aseh shem kaidmes la'ois ha-Mitzrayim v'havin kach kibalti v'Hashem ha'tov yichaper. Okay? This is amazing, right? You have mamish in these words that we're going to read in the Haggadah, such special words. Elu eser makkah shehevi al Mitzrayim, right? The Mitzrayim, it's all connected to the 3,280 malachim of malachei chavala that brought upon the whole punishment for the Egyptians. It's really fascinating.
And the numbers here, nothing doesn't mention anything about the numbers, right? The Gematria.
No.
Of the
No, but we're just showing. Now we're doing the names.
Right.
Now we're doing the names because the Arizal wrote down that there are these different names. Yeah. So now we're showing what the names were, how they connect to the story.
One shift back.
Huh?
One shift
Okay,
back.
yeah,
Right?
okay. Mitzrayim, you go one back, right?
Right. Yeah, one back.
But it's amazing to fit that in like that. I mean, yeah. Isn't that amazing? It's truly remarkable. Okay. Okay, here we go. Masha Kosav Valkulam Asara Nikra Tov Kuf Aleph. And then we said there was one angel that he was the manager of all of them. He was the manager. Bereshis Kavanosai, and the Arizal wrote Bereshis Kavanosai, Ki Roshei Tevas Shel Eser Makais, Ditzach Adash Ba'achav Gematria Kuf Tov Kuf Aleph. So you know what to say that we do that thing? We say that we do the Gematria, we do the acronym, right? So we call that an acronym, right?
Yeah.
We do the Tzach, Adash, Ba'achav, right? So we do the Dam, Tzavadei, Akidim, right? And we put them in little groups. So you ever wonder why we did that? Or we had to do that because by doing that, we're getting to the Tuf Kuf Aleph. And Tuki, take a look. We have the calculation there. The Tzach is 114, right? The Adash is 374, and then Ba'achav is 13. So you put that together, it comes to 501, and that's the Gematria of the angel that's the manager over the 3 firmaments of the three lower managers, right?
Wait a second. There's a manager. There's 3.
There's a manager in each one. There's a manager in each one.
Each division.
In each firmament, and we mentioned those 3. We mentioned those 3. Now there's one guy that's in charge of all of those 3.
Got it.
So he's their manager.
Right.
He's the upper
CEO.
manager.
He's
No, he's not the CEO. He's the upper
the
manager.
manager of the of number 1 or
Of 1, 2, and 3,
Got it. Okay. And this guy and that guy equals 501.
and he's 501.
Okay. His name is.
And that's you get that, and you get his name from the Tzach Hadash Ba'achav.
And his name is Taka.
But you don't mention. You're not supposed to say these things. So you just say Tuf Kuf Aleph.
Tuf Kuf Aleph, because he's in charge of the punishing.
Angel. Yes. Yeah. We're going to go further now. Just
That's 501.
501. Kavasanim b'tevis bereishis what's the lema roshei tevis shel hamakois gam hu minyan asher shehu soid hakosav es asher is halalti b'mitzrayim. That Hashem asher, this is a strange word, asher, his halalti. That Hashem came over Mitzrayim. His halalti. What does this halalti mean? He was
abused.
Huh?
Abused or something.
No, it doesn't mean abuse. It's halal.
It's a lalut. Yeah, something.
Kasher harbe paiskim moirin lahasoid asher b'minyan aroshei teva shel eser makos and his current leil yesh lanu b'zeh soid nifloyim harbe remozim kveide likim haste dover. So look, it says over here now. So we have now this idea umashe kosav mitzad Hashem shin pei vav. Shin pei vav. There was another name that he had. So we had the three angels, one in charge of each one of the firmaments. And then we had one guy that was on top of them, right? And he was Taf Kuf Aleph 501 Tzachar Dash Ba'achav. And then there was another name, right? The Shin Pei Vav. Hikka Oisa b'Mitzrayim Eser Makos v'Alayom Chamisha Makos. So then we said that there was one opinion. Right, we're going to read this in Haggadah, right? There's one opinion in Haggadah that the Mitzrayim got 10 makos, and then on the Yam Suf they got 50 punishments. There were another 50 punishments at the Yam Suf. So who said that? Kavanasei linyan soid nifla nira plukta shel Rabbi Yossi Aglili, Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Akiva. Right, we're going to read those in Haggadah, right? We have when we read those, remember those, right? Remember those words? Right, we have the machlekes, the three-way machlekes between Rabbi Yossi Aglili, Rabbi Eliezer, and Rabbi Akiva.
What's the machlokes on?
How many makos there were? Were there 10 makos in Mitzrayim and 50 at the Yam Suf? Were there 50 in Mitzrayim, 200 at the Yam Suf, and so on? We're going to learn that now. Okay, Yossi, you missed the part.
Yeah, but that's not in Haggadah.
That's in Haggadah. Yeah, we're going to read that. Yeah. We're going to read that in Haggadah. Yeah. That's why you have to go over the Haggadah, Yossi.
I thought that was cheating. I didn't know you were.
No, you don't cheat. That's not cheating. That's preparing. That's preparing. Not cheating. That's preparing. You have to prepare. So you see that you have a three-way machlekes here, right? In the Haggadah.
That's right.
Great, right? Okay. So here. So now, if you take a look at the way he wrote out Rabbi Yossi Aglili Sacha Kol 386. So 386 is the same Gematria of this angel.
386. Yeah.
386. Ha-muska b'Haggadah. Hey, yes, he says that. Ha-muska b'Haggadah. It's written in the Haggadah, right? Rabbi Yossi Aglili Omer Minayin, Rabbi Eliezer Omer Minayin, Rabbi Akiva Omer Minayin. The three of them all say Minayin. They all say, where do we know? How do we know? Right? Okay, Rabbi Akiva Omer Minayin. Shezeh Soid Rabbi Yossi Aglili Gematria Shin Pei Vov Mamish Mechuvan V'hainu. Rabbi Yossi Aglili Omer Perish Shem Shin Pei Vov Omar V'hika Oisam. And that's how they were smitten. But I want you to understand something. You're going to learn over here that anytime you're learning over any mimer Chazal, you're learning over any Mishnah, you're learning over any piece of Gemara, Bryce, or whatever you're learning, right? And then you see, and sometimes you see this machlekes going on. You're going like, why can't they? How could this be? How were they arguing? Like, is it this way or is it this way? Like, how could this be? But we're learning here that really, one can't change their mind to the other one because their pshat is who they actually are. Rabbi Yossi Aglili couldn't change his mind on his idea because this is his name. His name equals the 386. Like this Malach, 386, that was in charge of the 50 makos, the 10 and the 50. You understand? So Rabbi Yossi Aglili can't change his mind. That's who he is. Do you follow what I'm saying? Now look at this. Now let's go to the next one. David ben Yishai. And then it said, then he brought in David ben Yishai. Like, where did David ben Yishai come into this equation? We're talking about Mitzrayim. We're talking about the punishing angels. And then he brings in, the Arizal brings in this idea that there's David ben Yishai. Perish David ben Yishai gam came Gematria Shin Pei Vav. How do you like that? David ben Yishai, look, he wrote it out for you. See that? David ben Yishai, 386. So David ben Yishai is obviously connected to Rabbi Yossi, right?
Was he connected?
I don't know. Obviously he's connected if he's David ben Yishai, right? Hashem Davka Hika Oisam, and it was specifically that one, that angel, that was in charge of causing them to be punished in that way. Because of beside Rosa, Rabbi Yossi Aglili Hoya Nitzai Shel David Ben Yishai. Oh, how do you like that? Uva Hashem Daika Yovai Ben Yishai, and with his name, also David Ben Yishai is going to come. So you see that we need this angel, this Shin Pei Vav, the 386. We need this 386 angel because that's how we're going to get Moshiach to come. You see that? Is that what it says there?
386.
Hagam sheyesh lanu bazeh soidos niflois v'neirois omna makavon niska leel. Rabbi Yossi Aglili Gematria Shin Pei Vav. Okay, now umashe kosav mitzad Hashem tov kuf lamed loku b'mitzrayim aboim makos v'alayam loku masayim makos. And there was another one that said in Mitzrayim there were 40 plagues. So there were the 10, but the 10 had 40 within the 10. You understand? There were 10 within the 10. There were 40.
So for example,
there were byproducts of the
say
plague.
hail. It was, oh wow, it's a big piece of ice, that's scary. But there was fire inside.
There's fire was in there, and the water that was inside there, and all of the damage that it caused. And these were the byproducts of each one of them. So there were 40, 40 and 200, right? That's Kavanasi beside Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Eliezer, Gematria Tov Kuf Lamed, and here you have it. Rabbi Eliezer Sachakol 530. Okay, this is the three-way machlekes. So far we learned in Nagad a few words. Elu Eser Makei Shehevi. We learned about Hamitzriyim. Right, we said Hamitzri, right? Because with the mem was the rabbis, right? And then we learned the idea of the 386 of Yossi Aglili, which is the same as David ben Yishai. And now we're learning the idea that he said that there was a malach called Taf Kuf Lamed is the same Gematria as Rabbi Eliezer. And guess what? That's the sheet of Rabbi Eliezer. So again, according to Rabbi Eliezer, there were 40 makos in Mitzrayim, 200 makos on the Yam. That was Rabbi Eliezer. And his name. And according to Rabbi Eliezer, that angel was the one in charge of doing that. So therefore, his name is Tav Kuf Lamed, because that's who he is. Unbelievable. Every time I read this, it's just mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. Okay, now let's see. We go. Okay, Mashiach Kosav Mitzad Hashem Shin Tzadik Hey Lokom Mitzrayim and Mitzrayim, and it said there was another shame, and these were all the shames that the Arizal brought down. Right, the Arizal brought this in his kuntras, right?
They're all names, heads of divisions.
Yeah, but no one knew. No one knew what this meant. You know, the great Kabbalists here in Israel, the great Kabbalists at the time had no idea what this meant from the Arizal. They were reading it.
The Ari came. No one knew pretty much what the Arizal wrote when they started to read to begin with, just on anything, more or less.
Right.
The Arizal came and said, "Hey, I have an idea," and he started to put some of these things down into writing. But
yes,
he didn't get all of it. Is that right?
Yes.
He didn't even read it.
So Rav Shimshon came. This is after the Arizal.
100 some odd years later. Yeah.
And goes, "Hey, I know, based on my conversation I had in Shemaim, whatever."
No. It goes like this. They sent to Rav Shimshon Me'Ostropolia a letter. They're asking, "Can you please explain it to us?" They knew that Rav Shimshon was a great Kabbalist also. We don't know.
He's in Europe somewhere.
Yeah, he's in Europe. Yeah, Astropolia,
right?
Yeah.
Okay, can you figure this out?
No, they sent him a letter. Yeah. Can you please? We're getting ready for Passover here, and we're trying to understand this mimer from the Arizal, and we don't understand it. Can you please explain it? So then he started up by saying he had a dream. He got this, and then Rav Shimshon had a dream, and in the dream it was revealed to him.
Yes.
Remember, you were telling us about the dream the other day. Yeah.
So okay, and now bringing in these rabbis, each one of these heads of divisions equals what the rabbis.
The name of the angel of that division in heaven.
That the rabbi
is connected to.
Because they
his shita. Yes. So you see, so in other words, Rabbi Akiva as we're going to see in a minute, can't change his mind and say, I agree with Rabbi Eliezer. He can't. It doesn't work. In other words, they have to be strong on their opinion because that's who they are. It's an important thing to understand that sometimes you're arguing, right, and you just don't understand why your chavrusa won't understand what you're trying to tell him, and it makes perfect sense. And he's trying to get you to understand what he's trying to understand, and to him it makes perfect sense because that's the source of our neshamas.
Because they're both right.
No, they're both right because they're from different neshamas, different truths.
Yeah.
There are different truths, right? You understand? Remember, Rav Chaim was talking about that the other day, right? There's the emes and there's the emes lamitoi, right? Right? There's the emes lamitoi. The emes says, I can disagree with you in this, but the emes lamitoi, my shita is my shita. I can't do that. You understand? And that's what we're learning here.
Really?
It's fascinating. Okay, here we go. So Rabbi Akiva, here, look at this. Rabbi Akiva is Gematria Shin Tzaddik Hey. Vaynu Rabbi Akiva be Gematria Shin Tzaddik Hey, Oma Shashem Shin Tzaddik Hey, Oma Hukav Kol Echad Me'elu HaChachamim, Oma Lefi Achizah, so according to what they're connected to. In other words, they're oichas on, they're holding on to that. Harei miru mazim elu shleisha shema shin pei vav tav kuf lamet shin sadik hey. So now we know shin pei vav is Rabbi Yossi, right? We said tav kuf lamet is Rabbi Eliezer and shin sadik hey is Rabbi Akiva. So now you see the three-way machlokes in the Agadah. Okay? Be'elu shleisha tanoyim, Rabbi Yossi Aglili Gematria Shin Pei Vav, Rabbi Eliezer Gematria Tav Kuf Lamed, Rabbi Akiva Gematria Shin Sadek Hey, V'zeh Soid Niflin Noira Rosin, the Rosin, Sesima, Sesorin, the Sesorin. It's closed, sealed, locked. Hainu Kemesha Kasafti Lamalis Kfay Terasi V'hu Rachom. Masha Kosav, and now look at this is amazing. Umasha Kosav, Ubemasha HaKodesh Baruch Hu, Makeh Boi Merape HaGolas. And this is what HaKadosh Baruch Hu, what he wrote, the Arizal wrote, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Makkah, and it brings Merape Golas. It brings a healing for the Golas. Hainu K'moshe Kasafti L'chvei Terasa V'hinei Ba'oisen Al-Eser Makos. Asara Makos, Nirmaz Tam Yeridas Yisrael Mitzrayim. Shem Ramzim Oisos Titzach Adash Ba'achav Soid Yeridasam L'Mitzrayim. That was the side of us going down to Egypt. The whole these acronyms of the Makos, the Tzach Hadash Ba'achav, and he's going to show you now. K'moshe Kasafti L'chvei Terasai Ubay Ripei Oisanu HaKadosh Baruch Hu V'hika B'hem Maka Rabba Etzba Elohim He Elohim He Etzba Elohim He. Right, the advisors of Parai. The advisors of Parai, the sorcerers of Parai, said to Parai, Etzba Elohim He. This is not, in other words, when Hashem brought the Makkah of Kinam, right, it was small. It was smaller than a kazayah, a kabeya. So then the sorcerers don't have any domain on that. They couldn't do that. In other words, they were able to they were able to do the dam, they were able to do the tzavadeya. Why they wanted to do dam, I have no idea. In other words, they had everyone, there was blood everywhere. Right? There was blood everywhere. And then they had to buy water from a Jew and then to turn it into blood again. I mean, it was crazy. They didn't have any water. They had just blood. But they had to turn it into, and then there were frogs everywhere, literally everywhere. There were frogs everywhere, literally everywhere. But then they were able to find a way to make another, they were also able to make frogs. Crazy. But then when it came to the kingdom, this small thing, Etzbeli Kimi. Right? Remember, right? Etzbeli Kimi. That's Hashem. We can't do that. Harei min hamaka atzma ba harufua liyisrael sheba'isam hamaka is nimza harufua shegola HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'hem that Hashem took us out. Okay. Now he said, Uma kosav, Uma shekosav, Uma poshu, What's the line? Ve'ela makos nimras hachet shel aveseinu shegar miridas Mitzrayim. The chet that caused us to go down to Egypt. Boisa makos nimza refuah shegolam Hashem yizbarach. Umasha kosav acha kodesh baruch golam Hashem b'shemus halolu. The Dalid ayin beis tzaddik Dalid aleph kof shin ches beis hakavana the Dalid ayin beis heim oises harishonos shel ditzach adash ba'achav. If you take the ditzach adash ba'achav and you take the first letter, the Dalid, and then you take the ayin from adash, and then you take the beis from achav, so then you get the first of the shemos, right? Right, you got it? All right, and then now v'achakach tzaddik Dalid aleph heim oisei shniyah shel ditzach adash ba'achav. That's the second one, the tzach hadash ba'achav. Again, if you take the second letter, the tzaddik, the dalit, and the aleph, then you get that one. V'achakach kof shin ches beis heim oisa shlisha shel the tzach hadash ba'achav. That's the final letter of the acronym. Shegol hakodesh baruch hu oisanu bahem harei ba'isem amakos shehiku lemitzrayim. So the Makkos itself brought the refuah to Klal Yisrael. All right, and now he says, "If arei lechos slide simonim shall detzach hadash b'achav sheba'oisem ha'oises nimza asara mamuna al kol malachei chavolos hikum Makkos leMitzrayim u'ba'oisem ha'oises nimza tam hagolos shel Mitzrayim ba'oisem ha'oises nimza gamkein harafuah v'agul Yisrael." Ve'elu oises heim b'soif noguf v'refuah. V'hi rabim l'fnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu she'areinu bias meshichenu im hamalochim hashaychem legeula. How do you like that? Hashem should bring us the geula with the angels that are pertaining to our final geula, like we just learned. Achroinu b'mheira v'yameinu v'yekuyam banu mikra shekosov u'kimei tzeischem eretz Mitzrayim haren neflois. Amen. Netzach selah. The same way HaKadosh Baruch Hu took us out of Mitzrayim, and He showed us the most wondrous things. He showed us the most wondrous things, right? HaKadosh Baruch Hu that was only a preview of what He's going to show us now when Moshiach comes, because we learn everything is learned out of Mitzrayim. Now we say in the beginning in Haggadah we talk about Lavan, right? Just another thing. We talk about Lavan. He was Bikesh. He wanted to. He was worse than Parai. Parai was only a geyser on the Zecharim, but Lavan wanted to uproot us all together, right? Lavan wanted to uproot us all together, right? And it's a very amazing thing if you understand this thing, the story with Lavan. It's really fascinating, right? It's really a fascinating idea, because we really only went down to Mitzrayim because of Lavan. It was Lavan's fault that we went down to Mitzrayim. Why? How do you know? How can you figure that out? Why? How do you figure out it was why Lavan's fault? Simple. Yaakov Avinu made an agreement with Lavan. He worked 7 years, and then he was supposed to marry Rachel. Right? What happened? Lavan switched Rachel for Leah. And we know Rachel did that. She was kind to her sister and all of that stuff. Okay. But the bottom line is, what happened if Yaakov would have married Rachel first the way he was supposed to? Who would have been the firstborn?
Technically,
who would have been the firstborn? Yosef. Wait a second. If Yosef would have been the firstborn, we wouldn't. And then Yaakov Avinu would have married Leah, and then the other children would have been born. And then you had the Shvachos, and everyone been born. But Yosef would have been the Bechorah. If he was the Bechor,
he didn't have intention to marry Leah ever.
No. But if
that's not the issue.
We're trying to understand. The Shvatim was supposed to come. The Shvatim was supposed to come from Yaakov Avinu, the 12 Shvatim. Okay, we know that. Okay, we know really Leah was supposed to be married to Esav, right? But she davened, right? That's why her face was red, because she was always davening. She didn't want to go to Lavan, because she knew that Rivka had 2 children, right? Rivka was Lavan's sister, right? Lavan's sister was Rivka. And Lavan had two girls. So 2 girls, 2 boys. They were supposed to marry each other. Leah was the older one. Esav was the Bechar. She was supposed to marry him. Yaakov was supposed to marry Rachel. Right? You understand? That's how it was supposed to be. But Leah, because Leah davened, she switched things around. It's amazing. But Lavan was really our cause of everything. We only had the problems, and we had the kinna and the everything because of the brothers, because he changed it.
So if Yosef had been the Bechor, what would have happened?
Then Yaakov would have given him the kisonas pasam, the colorful coat, no problem.
No problem.
He's the oldest one, no problem. You saw
no jealousy.
showing favoritism to the oldest one is no problem. He's the Bechor. Everyone would have said fine. There would have been no problems. Do you follow?
Yeah. He switched them.
It's
He would have been
unbelievable.
Bechor, he would have gotten the color, he wouldn't have been sent to Egypt because
Then we would have gone down to Mitzrayim, right? Unbelievable, right? It's unbelievable. When you understand, really, you think about what's going on in the storylines. And just try to see, yes. What's that?
אומר הקדוש ברוך הוא, כשתקרב שנת הגאולה, אני גואל אתכם. In the Gematria is 3,280.
Where'd you see that?
There's a site for Gematrias.
Oh, you like that? Okay, there we go. 3,280. Huh? You like? Hey, well, let's just read that. Let's just read that. Hold on, wait something.
Rav Shimshon right here.
Here we go. So, where'd it go? It disappeared. Yeah. It says here, so Rav Shalom brings it out. It says, Amar Kodesh Baruch Hu shetikarev shnas hagula ani goyel eschem. And that equals up to 3,280. Fascinating. 3,280.
What does the whole thing say? What does it mean?
At the time that HaKadosh Baruch is going to bring the Gul or whatever, it's going to be through 3,280.
Oh, because they're going to be the ones that are punishing the
Whatever. They're going to,
Palestinians and whoever.
whatever.
Yeah.
Who knows? All of our
We
enemies.
like learning. This is like, you have the code to run the computer.
Yeah.
And we see the computer with all the words, but we don't see the code underneath. And this is the code.
This is the code behind the story.
everything.
Okay. So I want to wish everyone a Chag Kosher v'Sameach, and I hope this meant something to you. This is so special to me every year to learn this, and if you can review this tomorrow afternoon, it's a great segulah to learn this. It's a great segulah to learn this at least one time a year, and you learn it on Erev Pesach. So it's a little bit Erev Pesach now. You have to make sure you burn your chametz today before this month. So like by about 10:30, make sure you burn your chametz before that.
But still, we can eat chametz.
You can eat chametz, no, but we still follow this man streifetz chametz. We still follow it as if it was the day we were burning it.
But there's no time of beer chametz.
No. Tomorrow you're going to say the kol chamira. No. You say the kol chamira tomorrow at the seif zman achilas chametz. You'll say that again then over there. Yeah.
Please put those in order, because I want to send them to my kids.
Okay.
And I don't know the correct order.
Everyone have a wonderful Shabbos and a Chag Kosher v'Sameach. Kol tov, everybody.